You know, I run my HydroWave all season long, but right now we're talking about spring. You know, it's pre-spawn in a lot of areas in the south, and before you know it, it's going to be warming up and fish are actually going to be moving up and moving onto the beds. And you know, the HydroWave sounds really need to fit the seasonal pattern. You know, because of this time of the year that a lot of the fish are focused on shallow water and they're moving up shallow, all of the shallow water patterns are going to be in play. You know, day in, day out, when the fish are moving up and they're aggressive, the power pattern is a go-to. You know, it's a great blend of sounds of different bait fish sounds and bass actually attacking, interacting with them. It's a really good go-to anytime I'm fishing, you know, somewhat shallow. On top of that, the shallow water power pattern is even really more geared towards when you're targeting shallow cover. You know, when you're flipping bushes, when you're spinner baiting laydowns and, you know, riprap banks, things like that. And that's a lot of the things you're gonna do during this pre-spawn and spawning period as the fish first come up. You know, another pattern that I really like this time of year is the finesse pattern. So you get a lot of these fronts that are coming through. The finesse and the ultra finesse are built for these high bright post-frontal days where you don't have a lot of wind. You know, they're subtle bait fish sounds. They're much subtler. There's a little bit of the bass interaction, you know, a little bit of bass eating bait and things like that in there, but it's all very more timid. It's geared towards those type of conditions when the fish are not going to be real aggressive. So as it warms up and we start getting some spawning activity, get some bluegills spawning and the shad spawn, that's when those patterns really come in. You know, the brim beds and you know, the spawning bait, you start to see shad spawn or you start to see herons up on the bank, that's when I'm really focused on that, because even, you know, as that tapers off after first thing in the morning, the shad spawn kind of tapers off as the sun comes up, those shad pods still will be around some docks, they'll be around some marinas, they'll be around some riprap bridges, things like that. You can activate that bait and trigger those bass into firing on them again. And the same thing, if you're around the brim beds, boy, those bass, they love it. They know it's a place where they can go and get an easy meal. There's always bass around brim beds, so you can activate those bluegills. It gets them all fired up. I've seen the underwater video of this happening, so those are patterns that I love to run during the springtime.